Hey, what's going on? JD here, and this, of course, is the Daily JD. Thanks for tuning in, guys. As always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notifications, or you can follow me conversely on my social media accounts. Twitter at Paint Inc. I tweet out every time before I, in fact, do go live, as well as you can catch me over on Instagram at Paint Inc., as well as Twitch TV, where we have thankfully made affiliate. We are also Paint Inc. there, so check us out there. That's where we do our game streams. So thanks again for tuning in. If you're here, by all means, drop me a note in the chat. As is tradition, we are open to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Got a couple things to discuss today, but in general, it's been pretty busy, but not a busy news kind of cycle. So there you go. Hey, good to see you, Rob. Thanks for tuning in. So I've been pretty busy. I have been super busy this week. It's been a good busy though. We do have things coming up this weekend. I am super excited for Poutine Week. I am super excited for the meetup. We've got a good crew of people getting together, and I'm excited to see all your beautiful faces out there on Sunday as we tear things up. On the other hand, I was out on the weekend. I did the Bleecker album release party. So did photographs for those guys there. Hopefully be working with them again very soon in the short future on a few other projects as well. I've signed up for a couple music videos, which is good for me. So I'll be releasing at least another 2 or 3 music videos this year, knock on wood. Those are all getting ironed out, all the details. So it's things are slowly moving forward. Hey, good to see you, Josh. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate, buddy. As always, good to see you, Brian. Happy tear things up on Tuesday. I like it. I like it. I like that. That's awesome. So things have, hey, good to see you, Nick, as well. So like I said, it has been busy. I am really, really excited for the weekend. Of course, that is none other than the photo walk for Poutine Week. We will be down meeting at Mill Street, starting off there and working our way around 17th. I know a good number of you have signed up. If you haven't signed up already, of course, there is the link in the comments. You can definitely RSVP there. It is a free event. All you have to cover is your own beer and food and pinball and whatever other mischief that we get up to. Hopefully it will be a nice, bright, sunny spring day, but you never know what the weather brings. But again, we're kind of jumping between venue and venue as well. That's part of it as well. So it will hopefully be great so we can walk around a ton, but there's also lots of indoor activities to have. So it will be really, really good. Hey, good to see you, Craftsmith. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, I do have to, before I accidentally put the link back in there, thank our Patreon supporters. Our Patreon supporters, none other than Reviewy McReviewface. Thank you, Reviewy, for month after month supporting us on Patreon. And of course, we have our sponsors on YouTube. That is none other than Josh WRB, as well as Mum's Universe. So thank you guys for the continued support month after month. So like I said, we've got Poutine Week coming up, which is a creator collective meetup. I am still working, actively on the creator collective, where that kind of where we want to go with that. Some things that we did test. I did manage to jump on with Josh WRB during his Fortnite stream and stream for a minute. I tested the code so that you are able to embed the other person's stream in your stream. That was a success in the sense that you are able to do that quite well. The only issue that I have on my end, which is probably not a big issue for anybody that runs OBS, for those of you that don't know my setup, I run on a Mac environment. I'm all Mac. For this stream, I do use OBS because I find it a better piece of software. However, because of the way capture cards and Mac is, and they don't allow you to basically have drivers kicking around, that the capture card will only work with the software that was provided with the capture card. So unlike a PC, I can't, stream it to OBS. So my disadvantage is that I can't basically mute the audio so it's just coming from my audio feed, so you get like kind of a cross mix of audio. You should be able to do it fairly easy in OBS, but it's really, really good. The stream, a little bit laggy. There is a bit of delay because you are pulling directly off the Twitch environment, but a strong stream runs well. Mum's Universe, who is currently streaming over on Twitch, streaming Battlefield 2, I believe he is. I was testing earlier to kind of show it as an example in this, but I was unable, again, to kind of get the audio tweaked in time. So there you go. YT Dom, how was it being a VIP at the hockey game? It was, number one, it was my first time really kind of going to a Flames game. It was a really awesome experience. It was, I don't know. I think it kind of ruined me, to be honest. I know that Josh was super excited. Well, Josh is a huge Flames fan. If it wasn't, if Josh wasn't a huge Flames fan, we wouldn't be going, because if you've watched the video, I tweeted because, the first person I thought of when I saw that contest was Josh. So that's what I tweeted out. I have to say, we got top-notch treatment. It was, it's nothing I could ever afford, and nothing I'd probably ever be able to afford again, but it was great. It was just an amazing kind of all-around experience. Everything from the seats to talking to Joel Otto, to sort of having the eats beforehand, getting beer, getting the jersey, which was really cool because I don't even have a hockey jersey until that happened. And, it's just kind of a really cool thing. And, the fact that Canada's, sort of national sport is hockey, I feel, I guess, just that little bit more Canadian, having experienced it, seeing as I've been in Canada for quite some time, but just getting my citizenship. So there you go. Nice. If you're not a hockey fan, can I have your jersey? No, man, that's huge sentimental value for me now. It's like, whether, guys will get traded and teams change, and, jersey numbers always, like you saw that with the Toronto Blue Jays recently with Pillar. I can't remember how exactly you say his name, but he just got traded. So everybody's like dumping his jersey, when he got traded. That'll never change for me, because that moment, it's always nice to kind of experience those moments. And it's always good to have those, things kicking around, because anytime I see that jersey now, or Pillar, thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. Anytime, I see that jersey, or it will bring me back to that moment. And luckily enough, they didn't say anything about us, filming or vlogging there. So we got to, basically film the whole experience. I know the people that were at the same event that we were, like, hey, we definitely want to see that, that's super cool. They were all excited to see that we were documenting it as well. So, I mean, it was all around a fantastic time. If I could do it again, I would absolutely do it in a second. If I had an extra $1,500 to buy myself a ticket for that, I would absolutely do it again. It was such a good time, such a fun time. And again, thanks to the Flames organization, we deeply appreciated that they selected us to do that. It was a great, fun night. I spent numerous nights in the Dome, and I've never really kind of been there when there's been ice on the ground. So it was a good experience for me. I enjoyed it very, very much. To be technical, Canada's actually national sport is lacrosse. That is very, very true. But I think in the hearts of most Canadians, it's most definitely hockey is the sport of choice here. I guess if you were really to look at it, the next national sport would probably be basketball after that, because we invented basketball. I'm not sure 100% who invented hockey. If anybody knows that, they could throw that in there. Isn't he Cuban? I think it's Pilar. There we go. Rob Jamieson, I won a Calgary Cowboys jersey from the Corral series earlier this season. I had Dead Marsh on the back. I have no connection to the team, but it was the first Hitman game in that rink. There you go. It's all about, it's always good. It's always nice to, kind of get those things. And, again, it's my first hockey jersey. That's the other part of it. So, it's near and dear to me no matter what, and it's exciting. I think what even makes it more exciting for me now is that, I follow the Flames on Twitter, which I wasn't doing before, which was a faux pas in the eyes of many people when I won that contest. But, I am actually watching games now where I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to watch them before, follow their Twitter, excited for the playoffs, all that kind of stuff. I guess that just makes me, a little more Canadian than I was a few weeks ago. So there you go. Jersey means a lot, as it shared the last game wearing it with my son beside me. And that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. It's that's the great thing about sporting events and family is a lot of time, that's stuff that family can enjoy together. My only wish in this world was that maybe it was a little bit more accessible in the world. I do have a friend who does work for the Flames organization, and he works with Harvey the Hound. And, he related a good story to me afterwards because he knew that I went to the game, because I mentioned it to him just in case he happened to be working, just, so he could drop by and, briefly talk, because obviously he would be working. But one of the things that they do like to do, or Harvey especially likes to do, is go up into the sort of Olympic seating and higher seating and grab somebody who is a dad, obviously scrape together enough money to bring his kids, and they'll take them and they'll deck them out and sort of Flames gear, because they're typically, wearing stuff that they've picked up at Walmart, and then move them down to the lower bowl to better seats, typically where the singer of the national anthem sits, because he doesn't always use his seats, and basically, give them a better experience. And I know that's something that they probably appreciate really, really well. So there you go. Get a smiley face from Josh. So ultimately, yeah, that's kind of what I had for today. Again, not a ton of stuff. I was sort of cruising the internet, taking a look at what's going on social media wise. There was something, and I will bring it up, is that there is a new platform coming out. So for those of you guys that like to get on the front end of things, and I definitely like to do that myself, is get on the front end of things and kind of get ahead of the curve. There is a new company, or a new essentially website, and it looks like social media company that will be launching soon. And I'm just going to type it in here, so excuse as I go quiet for a second because I'm a terrible typer. So hopefully that works. Essentially, that is a link to a new social media platform that is looking to launch. Has a good feel. It's got music integrated. Looks very, very good for bands and musician-based things. It's very Instagram, no algorithm, strictly based on when it's posted is when it shows, all these kinds of things. It has not launched yet. It is basically... if you're interested in getting on the leading edge of it, they ask for your email, and that's kind of essentially it. So, as you know, I like to always kind of try to be up on new things that are coming out, and this was passed to me earlier today. It looks fairly good from what I can tell. At first, essentially, it looked like a kind of a derivative of a kind of a Vero thing, which I like Vero still, but they basically got blasted out of the water with some negative press that wasn't really true on Facebook, surprise. And, it kind of fell short after that because people were all bent up about their user agreement. But essentially this Life Cloud looks fairly well put together. Now, how it functions and how popular it will be will remain to be seen. Other things that I've been using Dayflash, which is an Instagram kind of platform, except it uses full screen pictures, which I like a lot. Tons of photographers and artists on there. That platform seems to be thriving fairly well. And as we've kind of discussed in the past, it's always kind of good, at the very least, is to kind of get your own space. So if you have a name such as I do, which is Pain Inc., I try to grab it on the platform. Even if I don't use the platform, at least I know that name is parked and it's there for me if I decide to use it. Other than that, you may decide to move forward. But again, it's nice to start at square one. A lot of times you will be favored when you start a lot earlier. People will be looking for stuff. Discovery is much better on a new platform. When it isn't completely, swimming with people, it's a lot easier to get discovered. It's like if you have a store in a shopping mall and there's 5 other stores, people are likely to find you. If you are a store, 1 in 1,000 stores, there is a good chance that people might just not find you just because of the sheer volume. So there you go. Hey, good to see you, Robert. Thanks for dropping in. Forgot who you were. An old guy. Sorry, great channel. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Glad you're doing what you do, sir. Thank you very much. Unless the mall is New Horizons. Well, yeah, you still can't, that's still, whether it's empty or full. If you're 1 in 500, because I think there's 500 stores there, it still could be difficult to find because it's a little bit of a maze. I do plan on going back there actually in the next little while. Like I said, I've been busy with, getting these music videos and all these kind of stuff and album covers that I've been working on, all sort of sorted out. I do have to kind of get back out and get back to vlogging. Unfortunately, no Lloyd and JD this week, no vlog this week. And of course there will be a vlog next week because we have our poutine meetup, and the whole point of having these kind of meetup things is that you get out there, myself included, and do a video and basically collaborate with creators. I'm excited. Again, I'll talk again about that briefly. I'm excited. Thanks for everybody that has signed up. I see some new names in that mix, which is absolutely fantastic. It always excites me that, we kind of meet new people and, sort of expand. It's Calgary for the longest time. It felt like a void of, creators. I didn't know any creators that existed. One of the first creators I sort of ran into was actually Josh. Again, if you want to check out the article that was written, and I don't know if I still have that article link. I don't think I do. But the Avro-Canadian wrote, basically featuring Josh. I tell a little bit of that story where we kind of first met, and it's kind of cool because it's grown infinitely, and there is a ton of creators out there, and we're all sort of finding each other, which is absolutely fantastic. Sounds like your inventor. I like to, the truth of the matter is I'm just somebody that likes to create and do things, whether it's art, music, photography, painting, all those kind of things, get-togethers, whatever it is, videos, it doesn't matter. I just like to make things. I like to try to create things, and I do like, to try to at least, entertain people momentarily, or give them a nice, photo or piece of artwork to look at that they can enjoy. And that's what brings me joy in my life. There is, however, the Dudecast. Speaking of the Dudecast, the Dudecast is both mine and Nick Samurai Fingers podcast. It is out now. It's also on Anchor FM. It also has been released on Spotify. So if you want to head over to Spotify, you can search the Dudecast. You will find it there. You will see the logo that is there on the screen with me now. Nothing more duty than red suspenders, a flannel shirt, and a beard. Although I think Nick has shaved off his beard, although he will have the beard in the podcast. So by all means, check that out. The Dudecast, we've recorded the first season. We'll be recording the second season shortly. And, it's just one of my favorite things to do. Like I said, podcasting, I guess, is a way for me to kind of talk and be, kind of that radio announcer that I always kind of probably secretly wanted to be, but now I can just do it from the safety of my own home. And it's a good time for me. I enjoy those kind of talks very, very much. Nick says episode 2 is now live, which is cool. I think, if I'm not mistaken, episode 2, we talk about fitness. I know that both myself and Nick have made a concerted effort to, make some improvements in our health as we get older. And really, we're just kind of sharing our life experiences and talking about that. Nick is doing more of the bodybuilding thing, and I am doing more of the cycling thing because I come from a cycling background. And until I get my elbow repaired here, and I just went to the doctor again, and now I'm going for scans again because apparently I've got something in there that shouldn't be in there. Hey, I won't be stepping into the ring anytime soon, which I'm kind of driving me a little stir crazy, to be honest. It's always kind of hard. I'm not completely sidelined. I still ride the bike every day. I've put on getting closer to 2,000 kilometers for the year. And you gotta put in the work. It's it's definitely a challenge, and we talk about a lot of things in that podcast. I think it's we really hit on some interesting topics, and I'm not just saying that. So if you want to head over to Spotify, you can follow us. Anything like that does help us, as well as the link to Anchor FM Dudecast, of course. And by all means, if you listen to an episode, positive, negative, neutral, whatever it is, drop us a line. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like, and give us some feedback, because that's going to help us grow as a whole and make it a better program in the end. Again, sort of our first season, first sitting down, not our first podcast, but ultimately, just something new. And of course, something that you're working on, and, those things develop over time, so you've got to definitely work on those things. Greatness doesn't happen overnight. Everybody can get lucky, but, people that work hard and put effort into stuff will always, slowly move forward. And that's what we're looking to do. Just move things forward. Yes, fitness food in my face. There we go. Native American native, have my respect. Thank you, sir. All right, do it, bro. It's I'm glad to be back on the bike. It's been extremely helpful. I do plan on getting back to downhill mountain biking, a little more extreme stuff, but of course, this elbow injury is gonna put that a little bit on the back burner, because just because of the nodule that I have in there currently. Anytime there's any kind of pressure against it, it causes me an immense amount of pain, hence why I'm not stepping in the ring, and hence why I'm not doing any downhill, because when we do that, because it is such kind of steep drops, I wear body armor. It saved me a couple times, when I have crashed doing that kind of stuff, including a full Leat brace and spine back. So, until I can wear those again, I probably won't be going out. Got new camera equipment? No, nothing new. I am still, to be honest, it's funny. I ran into Bence the other day at the rec room when I was working, and we were just kind of quick chit-chatting, because I had not seen Bence since he went to Hungary, and since come back. We're kind of chit-chatting. He was surprised to see me rocking the 5D Mark III, which is a good few years old. That is my main photography camera. It's I've been using the Sony as well, but I don't use it for stills as much as I use the Canon. I just find the Canon that much more reliable, and it's funny. Nobody, I always say this, that, with modern equipment, within reason, nobody's going to notice a difference, when you post stuff. I mean, I've taken photographs with that camera for years, and I probably will continue to do so until such time as it decides that it has had enough and it just wants to rest permanently. And chances are, even if the shutter goes, I'll probably replace it. It's been a absolutely fantastic piece of camera equipment. And it just goes to show you that you can utilize stuff for a lot longer than people would have you believe. I mean, a lot of people chase gear. Photographers get gear lust. I think all of us that like technology do get a little bit of gear lust, that we want, sort of the latest and greatest thing that is out there. But the reality is how much of a difference does it make? I would rather see, in terms of gear. I would rather see somebody that is starting out, sort of go the route of, training or, learning something different, like, off-camera flash photography versus, buying a new camera that they don't necessarily need. I mean, and even with the gear, the 5D Mark III, it might be overkill for the vast majority of people. You don't necessarily need that. I need a full frame sensor because I do concert photography, low light, no flash. You do need that because at a certain point, it pushes it. The Blazer album release that was on the weekend, there was a very dark event. And even with that camera, I was pushing the envelope with it. But at the end of the day, nobody said anything about, oh, you should have been shooting with this camera because it's that much better in low light, because nobody ultimately cares. When the photograph was posted that they selected after their show to thank their fans and everybody that came out to celebrate this release with them, people were just... They loved the photo. That's the end of it. Nobody cared if it was, a tad bit more grainy than another photograph. So there you go. Get back in the saddle. Also, people end up with gear acquisition syndrome. I like that. It is the truth. I will say this, and again, thanks to everybody that helped me get my Twitch affiliate. A lot of the things with me and Twitch that was holding me back was me. It was me that was holding me back and really kind of nothing else. I would look at a lot of other things going on, streamers and how they had it set up and, their camera setups and their gear setup and how, green screens and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, gear didn't make a huge amount of difference in it. It's just that I went out there and I did it. And, again, thanks to the support of everybody that really did support me during that time to make sure that I, sort of got to that affiliate. But, we did it. We did it, quite fast in comparison. It's best to go out there, get things done, do things, practice, get better, build your skills, then give yourself the excuse that my camera isn't good enough or my streaming setup isn't good enough or, whatever isn't good enough. When we started Lloyd G and JD years ago, we didn't have great, microphones. We basically went on Kijiji, found what we could buy for like the cheapest price possible, plugged them in and started recording, and that's how it all started. We upgraded as we moved along and as we got better. I watched some of the earlier episodes and the audio was completely off, and I'm not a great audio guy, and that's why with the Dude Cast, I'm very thankful to have Nick working on it because he is a audio mastermind compared to me, and he definitely has a better ear for it than I do. But ultimately at the end of the day, my point being is that when you have something, you could do it with your phone, you can do so much. If you want to do something, just get out and do it. Don't put up roadblocks for yourself. And I'm saying this from a place where I was putting, especially with Twitch, roadblocks for myself, and really it was me stopping me. And that's what, it comes down to. That was the bottom line. I was stopping myself. And the moment that I just kind of let that go and went forward with things, then things started to happen. Josh says, I need some better that has autofocus or for a lot of jobs that I'm getting commissioned. And that's where gear, and I will say this is where gear does make a difference. If you are a professional photographer, videographer, there is a certain standard that needs to be met. So, if you are doing commercial video, that becomes a different thing where you need, sometimes that equipment, to make the difference. Again, with me with a 5D Mark III, I need that camera, to make that difference. So, my photographs in the pit with low light, they work out well. So at a certain point, it is true. Robert says, true. Just brought what I actually need. Works for my stuff. That's great. Don't laugh. Forgot what your channel is about. Go for it, kid. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Peter says, I upgraded my camera at Christmas time to the Canon T6 from the Nikon 9500 Potato Cam. People have seen the difference. Absolutely. There is a time. I'm not saying there isn't a time to upgrade. I'm not saying that there isn't a time to get new gear. I'm not saying that, if you have the opportunity to upgrade, that you shouldn't do it because there's no need. All I am essentially saying is that if at this moment you don't have something, and the only reason that you're not doing something is because you think you need that thing to do it, uh, just do it with whatever you have. The vast majority of us have, cell phones kicking around. And I will say this, and if you watch my vlogs, and that flame vlog included, there was a good deal of footage that was shot with this cell phone and, integrated in there. And nobody said, ha, I knew you shot that with your phone. Nobody said it. In fact, this camera is probably better than some of the cameras that I've owned earlier in my life. I mean, this is 4K capable. I have cameras that I still use that are not 4K capable, including the 5D Mark III. So there you have it. It's just a different kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, if you have the opportunity to upgrade, sometimes it's good, and it does make a difference. And, it's just a step in a journey to get you further and further ahead. Never stop stopping. Perfect. But you can always rent high-end stuff to do a one-off or a few as you're just starting out. Absolutely. And that is something that, it's a really great point that Nick makes, is that at the end of the day, if you are doing something and it's a business and you're doing something that's commercial, if you are charging the right amount, and you can definitely look at, sort of equipment rentals, that is stuff that you can, roll over to the client. I mean, if you need to shoot on a Red 1 to get the quality you need for a commercial, go out and rent a Red 1 versus buying it, because if you use it once, it's going to be a lot cheaper to rent it in the long run than it is to buy it. And it also gives you an opportunity to use a bunch of equipment, and test it out and get the feel for it. A lot of times when people are moving into full frame cameras, I know myself included, that I have rented cameras that I was interested in, tried to use them with work and see whether or not they have worked. Prior to getting the Sony a7 III, I had tried pretty much every Sony full frame camera and didn't like it for whatever reason. It just wasn't quite working for me. But, because I rented it, there you go. And just so you know, Sony has a great system, I think it's still in place, where if you go and rent a camera and then you turn around and buy the camera, you will get the money that you use for the rental towards the camera that you use. It's a good program that they have. They have it set up. I believe it's set up at the camera store. So that's something to just keep in mind if you're ever shopping for a camera, to ask about that. Again, I would ask first because I'm not 100% sure if it still exists, but I know it did exist in the past. So there you go. Brian, I knew it. The secret is out. I just happened to have gear for electrical storm. Awesome. I love full frame way too much to ever go back. There you go. So that, yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I do have some crop sensor cameras. I mean, I have the Canon 70D, which I still use and I still like. I still like the flippy frame. For those of you who watch guys like Frontal Photo, Jared Polin, he punked everybody on April 1st, except for me. It came out March 31st, so I wasn't 100% aware because it was early in the afternoon whenever he set it to publish, even though it was his April Fool's thing. But he was talking about the Sony a7 III's with a flippy screen, and I was like, I was about to just basically say, well, I guess I'm going to Sony at that point, but it turned out not to be true. So we are still kind of stuck in limbo. I'm still waiting kind of to see where the systems go, to be honest, as far as equipment go. I am very tied to the Canon system. However, if I go to the mirrorless, I'm not tied because I don't have a ton of stuff. I do have the Sony a7 III, but I'm not 100% convinced that's where I want to be. There are some features that Canon has put out with their new mirrorless that I like very, very much, including the adapter where you can basically just drop in the filter and you can have a filter that goes to all your lenses, because anybody that uses filters for filter photography knows that, especially when you get to wide angle lenses like a 15 to 35, that the filters that you need to buy in order to be effective with those lenses cost way too much money. And if you could have a drop-in filter that works with the camera and then works with every lens, you would save yourself potentially thousands of dollars to do the same thing. And as a video creator, especially with neutral density filters, gives you a lot more options. I know most videographers and especially most YouTubers, if they do run around with a neutral density filter on their camera, it's just the one and one specific lens only. So there you go. Nick says, Garak, gotta run, brother. Thanks for tuning in, Nick. Always appreciate it. As always, thanks so much for dropping by. Again, remember to check out me and Nick on the Dude Cast. Robert did it, Mark II old school. Mark II is a great camera as well. I have a good friend who still rocks the Mark II and takes fantastic, photographs with that camera. Again, you don't have to necessarily have the latest and greatest. Nobody's ever going to know it. In fact, if it goes to print, typical magazine print, you'll never be able to tell. And I know that a lot of current photographers as well, they will actually have filters to kind of, mess up their photography anyways and make it look a little more grainy and old school anyways. So again, you're just kind of muddying up the image, to give it kind of that grit and feel. Because I will say this is that, the reason that a lot of people still shoot film is because they love the grain, the grit, kind of that, it gives it that substance to that image. It gives it, kind of that living feel. It gives it a totally different vibe. When things are super razor sharp all the way through, sometimes it's not as good. I mean, when you watch movies, there's an intentional blur in the film because they don't want it all super razor sharp. They don't want it to look like your TV set or, television or anything like that. They want to give it that distinct feel and look. So, gear is fantastic. I love gear as much as the next guy. I love getting new gear as much as the next guy. But, the truth of the matter is stick with tried and true. If you have something, use it until you can afford to upgrade, but don't let, not having the best of the best of the best equipment hold you back from doing what you want to do. Your creativity will take you a lot further than any piece of equipment ever will. And, sometimes not having the best equipment will, draw out some very, very cool things from people when they're experimenting, and those are all tricks and tips that you will bring on further forward. And again, when you're starting out, you kind of have to learn what you're doing and figure out things as you go. So the more experience, the better. So if you have any other questions, by all means, throw it in the chat there. This is the time where I'm going to hit the play ad button. And if you get an ad, it just means that you hit the algorithm in the right way. If you do have any other questions, by all means, throw it in the chat. Let me know what you would like to discuss, and we can definitely do that. After this stream, I will probably be heading over to Twitch for a little bit, play a little Street Fighter, so we can definitely talk over there as well, or watch me get beaten up by people that are much better than me at video games. But I'll be playing that with the arcade stick because that's what I have been doing as of late. So as far as things go, that's it for me. Again, if you are interested in meeting up, we are meeting up this Sunday. We are meeting at Mill Street around noon, so hopefully we will see you there enjoying some poutine week. What ways can you sell more merch? Thoughts? The best thing to do in terms of merch is, number one, I think that, you always kind of have to push it. The other thing is just having it sort of accessible. Take her easy, Robert. Appreciate it. We will see you later as well. It's making it accessible and making it known. It's having, basically the stuff there, so people, if they wanted to have it. The other part of it is sort of hitting that price point where it is completely accessible. So things, the problems that people run into. Number one is that a lot of creators, just to have merch, will utilize things like Teespring or Spreadshirt or all these other kind of one-off where they can print one shirt, ship it to somebody, and that's kind of it. Number one, you don't get a huge kickback from that. You only get a couple bucks, although it is still better than having no merch at all. But the other issue is that because their price point is built in. So if you put a logo on the front and it's this, this many colors and, it's this kind of shirt and it's these kind of sizes, it's going to cost, base $25. And then you have to add in your sort of markup, which can be anywhere from $2 to $10. So, $27 to $35 is sometimes where these shirts, go in. The problem for Canadian kind of creators is that, essentially you are at a certain point, you're adding on because of UX exchange, and typically shipping hurts. So a lot of times you'll have Canadian fans, so shipping it to them has got to come across the border. They have to exchange, so it gets even more and more pricey. T-shirts don't cost that much to print. This is coming from a guy that has a silk screens press in his basement. I've done silk screening before. I've got people to do silk screening for me when I haven't done it myself. You can typically get shirts relatively cheap. You can typically, if you are willing to buy, I would say about 24 shirts, you should be able to get them all said and done, probably about $15 across the board, maybe cheaper. The problem is for a lot of people, having $360 worth of merchandise is, not necessarily a good thing. And it can definitely get cheaper from there as well. The next thing is that price point. If you can get it to where you're making some money and essentially the price point is under $20 for a t-shirt or $20, people will spend it. I will spend $20 all day long on a t-shirt. No problem. You have a $20 t-shirt, I'll buy it. It's kind of that simple. You have a hat under $40, I'll probably buy it, because that to me that's a reasonable price. In fact, it's probably a better price. If you go to the mall and go to buy a t-shirt out of Hot Topic at regular price, you're probably paying $27 or $28. You have to, in all honesty, compete with everything else that is out there as well. Your fans will want to support you. If you make it so it's like super easy to, get support, by all means. So what can you do? Number one, if you live in a city like I do in Calgary, you can say, and I always say this, if you want to buy a hat, I can deliver it. You're not going to get any shipping. There's going to be no shipping charges, anything like that. So you can definitely go out there and, deliver or meet up or do all that kind of stuff. I did that, a couple weeks ago with one of the hats. I met somebody that was a fan of the channel. They bought a hat. They were super awesome. They bought me coffee and then we sat down and we chatted for a while. To me, that was awesome. I'm fairly confident meeting people in public. I will do it in a public place. I won't meet somewhere dark, scary, or anything like that. But, it definitely helps. It reduces the cost. So if you can do that. Again, if you have a lower price, shipping, Canada Post, all those kind of things are a factor. It might cost you $10 to ship a hat or a t-shirt. You've got to factor that in, and that cost is going to go to that person. Should you take a net loss first? Maybe if you're doing stuff on Spreadshirt, make $1, make 50 cents. It's, to me at that point, you are better off, if you're going to go that route, to just get shirts out there so people advertise, so people see what they see. And that's the purpose of it. I see it as walking billboards, all those kind of things, promoting your stuff. The more people see a logo, the more they see your emblem. People are typically more than happy to talk about it. Somebody that probably is going to order a shirt from your channel, they'll be walking around and somebody will say, "Hey, what's Brian's Republic?" And they'll be like, "Let me tell you about Brian's Republic. He plays this, he plays that, we talk, all this kind of stuff. He's a super personal guy. He plays music. He does all those things." Right there, he's selling your channel for you. You're not even, you're not there, and he's doing it because your fans will do that. Your fans are your biggest supporters. They will always do that for you. The Lloyd and JD hats are kind of the only merch that we've ever had for Lloyd and JD. We've gone through quite a few. I think we're on our third batch at this point. Speaking of which, I've probably got half a dozen left if anybody's interested in the snapback flat caps. And then I'll probably go and do something like that. Those caps, I take all the money and just basically reinvest it in merch again, is basically what we've been doing. So first time around, I think we got a dozen caps. We made the money, and then, we added a little bit more, and we got 24 caps because it was cheaper. And then I think this last time we got like 24, 36 caps because it was cheaper yet again. And essentially because you have to pay for the design and get it designed each time it's subsequently ordered, it's that much cheaper, and again, when you do things like that and you order in bulk, you get a better discount price. For me, it's more about the quality of the product at the end of the day more than anything else. The self-made hat is that's actually Travis Barker from Blink 182. This is one of his cap designs. I love the sentiment self-made. I do have it actually a design for self-made. I also have one for the Creator Collective, and again, these are all sort of things that are along the way. One of the other things that I will share with merch that can help drive sales is make a design, whatever the case may be. Decide on a design, make it limited. 24 t-shirts, so that's all you'll ever print. That's the end of it. That also helps. Back with Paint Inc., when we were doing tons and tons of clothing stuff, that was the entire model for the company, is that every piece was kind of this exclusive thing. We would sell anywhere, 24 was probably a little bit of a short run, but probably, a small run would be about 72 t-shirts. We would say, we're doing a run. These are all the t-shirts we're ever making of this. We're never going to make them again. Order them. Boom. Day gone. Like it was at that point, it would do really, really well. And that was kind of it. And it's funny, I sort of tested the water a little while ago. I kind of just said, hey, would you guys, be interested in, and there's, people that haven't heard me talk about painting gear in a long, long time. I'm like, hey, if we did some throwback stuff, would you guys be interested? And people were coming out of the woodwork that I hadn't heard from in a long, long time, basically saying, if you print stuff, we'll get it. So you can definitely build out the exclusivity angle of it as well. It's like, we're only going to print so many shirts, and that's it. You can also do the pre-order thing, the Kickstarter thing. If you have a big enough following, say, if we get X amount of people involved, we will do a run of this shirt, and that's it. That's all we'll ever print. Thank you. Have a nice day. The nice thing about a Kickstarter is you'll get the money out front, so you're not out of pocket and you're not having to bankroll some of that stuff. But again, if you're in a situation where you are streaming, you are making a little bit of money, and you want to sort of build things, it's always good to take some of that, put it to the side, bankroll it, and have it build upon itself. And at a certain point, it becomes self-sufficient that you're not even worried about it, because everything you do pays for itself. And as you grow, you can kind of continue to expand. You can reinvest in it, or, at points you can take it out and put it towards other things like equipment that you need, or whatever the case may be. So there's lots of ways to really kind of approach that. Again, the more self-sufficient that you are, if you have a website and you can run the e-commerce yourself, that you're not paying somebody else, 5, 10% or 20% or 30% kickback or anything like that, do it. If you can basically, sign up for something like Square. I'm not affiliated with Square, and I'm not saying this because I'm paid for anything like this. This is just something that I use because it is a good service. Square allows you to take credit cards from people, so you can, it's a lot easier for people as well. They also have a tap thing now, so that makes it even better, so people can do debit, because most people use credit cards, most people use debit. Like I said, $20 is nothing to most people these days. They're just kind of like $20, whatever, they spend that on lunch half the time. So, you're kind of focusing in on those things. You want it to be an easy spend. You want to make it easy for somebody to buy your things. You don't want to price yourself like, I have this $150 t-shirt, and people are like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm never spending $150 on a t-shirt. $20, they're like, they'll wear it, they'll probably do stuff, they'll probably wreck it, and then they'll probably order one 6 months from now because they love it, because they work on their Jeep every time, they go out, and they wear that t-shirt. And that's the truth of the matter. If you have a $20 t-shirt, I'll probably buy it. Anybody that's here that participates in these streams, you got a $20 t-shirt that's out there, I will buy one off you. It's that simple. It's so there's all sorts of different ways to kind of approach it, right? Again, if you're, sort of producing stuff and holding stuff, be prepared to sit on stuff for a while. And, you do have to bring it up. I am, honest to God, the most terrible person at selling merchandise from time to time. Even when I did paint ink, I had somebody kind of do all that kind of stuff for me. I love designing stuff. I love creating stuff. I do. I'm a bad salesman. I'll be the first person to admit that. No matter what my business is, I am sometimes the worst salesman in the world, because I come from an emotional place a lot of times where I just want people to love something, and that's kind of where I sit, and I have to tell myself, like, you need to sell these things sometimes. So there you go. Hopefully that kind of answers your question. And speaking of the collective thing and everything along those lines, of course, one of the things that, I sort of want to get back to is that at some point I want to get this silk screen press going and working for people where it's accessible to the community, where they can use it, because, making your own screens and, doing your own silk screen stuff and, buying shirts in kind of bulk, to be honest, like, just to be completely frank, to make a screened t-shirt, if you buy in bulk from a place like Gildan, which makes the vast majority of t-shirts that you wear, most of them are Gildan, whether they're branded otherwise or not, typically it will cost you, plus ink, is probably about $4 to $5 to make. Like, that's what a t-shirt costs to make. And that's in North America cost. Like, I mean, that's paying Gildan, sort of middleman, and, all those kind of things. I mean, if you go really crazy, you can buy from bulk from a lot of these factories and buy t-shirts for $1 a piece, silk screen them for 20 cents, and, sell them from there. Again, it just, depends on what kind of numbers that you want to do, will depend on the cost. But, again, completely doable. The way I used to look at it is, when I used to do painting stuff, that's all I used to wear. I mean, all I wear now is Sullen, because, Sullen has been very, very kind to me over the years, sort of thing. And I do love their stuff, and that's why I wear it more than anything else. But, when I had the painting stuff going, I would wear painting all the time. You would never see me without a painting hoodie. You would never see me without a painting t-shirt. I would never wear anybody else's stuff but my own brand, and, you can definitely do that as well. So as long as, you're getting a few shirts for yourself, and it's like, I need a new t-shirt, you can always dip into your own supply. And the truth of the matter is, that t-shirt's going to be cheaper than anything that you buy out there anyways, and you're just promoting yourself. So, I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's a great thing. So other than that, I don't have a lot for you. I've kind of rambled on for almost an hour this time. I'm going to shut things down over on this end. I am going to jump over to Twitch. I'm going to play some Street Fighter. I'm more than happy to continue this conversation over there. I look forward to seeing all your beautiful faces coming up for the Poutine Week. I am super excited for all of it. I know that they're excited to see what we do as well. Thanks again for tuning in. Remember to like this video if you haven't subscribed to already. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. I know I talked for a long time. We had double digits for a while there. Great question, Brian. Appreciate all you guys that bring up topics to discuss about, because really I came in here with very little to talk about, and I rambled on for almost an hour. But I am switching over to Twitch. Until next time, I'm JD, and until next time, which is Thursday, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. See ya.